Hey everyone, I'm holding on here, and today I got another spicy political video for you guys, this time about Project 2025. If you don't know what Project 2025 is, right, it's that like 900-page policy wish list and set of proposals and, you know, things almost like an ultra-conservative wish list, right, that people like myself have been screaming from the rooftops that Trump, if elected, would be heavily influenced by, and was almost like a glimpse into what a Trump presidency would look like. I have argued so much with people in the last couple months before Trump got elected who said the same thing. Oh, well, Project 2025, Trump said that he wasn't a part of it, right? Project 2025, he says he doesn't even know what it is. Trump wouldn't do all of those evil things, right? About, abortion, about, anti-immigration, anti-DEI, anti-environmental protection stuff, things like wanting to get rid of the education department, and so many awful things that even are so awful that even the ultra conservative people that I've debated with and argued in the past have said, oh no, Trump said he's not a part of that, right? He said he doesn't know what it is. But obviously, I'm jumping the gun a little bit here. There are. This is recent news as of a couple days ago. Senate Republicans confirm Project 2025 co-author Russell Vought as White House budget director. So I am jumping the gun a little bit here, but I do just want to immediately up front in the video, if there's anyone somehow that's still like, oh no, Project 2025, Trump's doesn't. No. You don't confirm and nominate all of these key co-authors of Project 2025, the presidential transition project, which also talked about slimming down the government and stuff. So we're going to go through that because the theme of today's video, and it was supposed to be originally a live stream, but I'm thinking maybe this will work out as like a 20-30 minute YouTube video instead of like a 4-hour stream VOD like last time. But I was going to do our second political stream, and Jojo, one of my cats, got sick again with a blocked urinary tract, which is very common with male cats. And so, we had to take him to the vet again, and it's very serious stuff. But he's doing better now. And now that, he's a little bit better, I'm like, okay, well, everything I was going to talk about in the stream, let me turn it into a video. Maybe you guys on this channel like it a little bit more when it's more, slimmed down and just up, to what I wanted to talk about. But I wanted to talk about Project 2025 because I think that was one of the biggest, disconnects because I have argued with so many people on my Discord server, in the political channels, with people I know IRL, people that voted Trump, right? And I would bring up things from Project 2025, right? Of things that are really, really awful, really, really bad. Project 2025 in the aspect of it being this 900-page policy, awful list. And we're going to go over some of the things, here in a second. But that was one of the biggest arguments I would get in with people, and the biggest disconnects, because I would always just get, well, Trump said that he doesn't know what that is. Trump said that he doesn't know what Project 2025 is, or he said he's not connected with Project 2025. So we should trust Trump. I'm going to trust Trump. He's going to bring egg prices down, right? As we have obviously seen, right, with Trump trying to do all of these trade wars and stuff like that, starting trade wars with China, with our allies, Canada and Mexico, which then got backtracked and effectively haven't happened yet, as long as places like Canada committed to doing almost the very similar things that they already were doing and already agreed to under the Biden administration, things like, trying to help with, stopping fentanyl crossing from the border, especially, which is weird because none of that really, not none, but compared to other parts, like fentanyl maybe comes, a little bit more through Mexico, but Canada, not really, right? But either way, right, all of these things like that. We have seen Trump been doing a lot of things, right? In general, right? I mean, Trump has we did a 4-hour video just over the first couple days of Trump, trying to get rid of the birthright citizenship, parts of our Constitution, right? And obviously, this is a tactic that people do, especially people like Trump, right? They just throw so many things at the wall to see what will stick, to see how far the boundaries they can push, right? And just see what they can get away with, right? right? And also exhaust people, right? It's so hard to keep up with every single thing that Trump is trying to do, right? So obviously we tried to go over some of those, but as I've been seeing and tracking these things that Trump has been doing, so many of the things that he is doing or talking about doing are straight from Project 2025, right? Especially with, once again, right, when you're confirming and nominating co-authors of Project 2025, it's hard to make the argument of, oh, well, I don't really know what Project 2025 is. So today I wanted to just, we'll go over a little bit of some other stuff that I wanted to talk about at the end, but I wanted to go over, I was doing some more research into all of this stuff, right? And I found this article by the BBC, which obviously all of the articles and news things that we look very heavily on, I will always be trying to link them in the description down below. But this is kind of a rough showing. This was written 5 days ago as of recording this video. Some of the things that Trump has already done in office in his first now couple of weeks, and then showing that compared to what Project 2025 is, right? And the point of this video isn't to just be a big told you so, right? Even though there is a slightness of that, right? I keep seeing TikToks of, some random farmer pissed off that some of the government contracts he had that was helping supplement his farms, or some of the cheap labor from the immigrants that they were using, are all getting ripped away, right? And they're all mad. And I literally watched one TikTok earlier this morning of this guy, which then obviously, someone duetted that video and was like, fuck around and find out, right? You've made videos talking about how you voted for Trump, right? Like, you asked for this, right? This was so obvious in Project 2025 what was going to happen. And then he made several video responses, well, Trump said he wasn't a part of 2025, and there were goods and bads on both sides. And so, I picked Trump. It's like, no, you have to think harder. Just because Trump said that he doesn't believe in something, like, are you really going to take his word, right? I mean, this dude is a convicted felon on like 27 accounts, right? A very creepy individual, and just not a good person, And I don't know why anyone would believe him face value. So the point of this video is, I don't think I'm going to be convincing. I mean, I might be convincing someone's mind, right? It's just going forward, try to have a little bit more thinking skills or whatever. I don't know if you're someone that I argued with that was like, oh, he's disconnected from Project 2025, right? But the biggest reason is I just want to give you guys, in case you guys are, because I'm sure I'm preaching on the choir a little bit. You guys are arguing or debating with, I don't know, parents that are still super Trumpers or something like that, or just people, because that is the most common thing I've heard is people just being like, oh, well, Trump said he wasn't a part of it, he wasn't that. So this video, in a way, is a big told you so to everybody that disagreed with me, but also just I want to go over all of the actual evidence and some examples of it, so you guys kind of have some ammo if you're having conversations and stuff, because I don't really know what my goal with all of this the political parts of this channel is, but part of it is just a creative outlet for me, because I'm very political and I just need to get this shit off my chest, right? Because otherwise I'm constantly doing it in different Discord servers and friend groups, and with friends and family, and I'm constantly trying to educate people on some of this stuff. But the goal is, if it is possible, in 2 or 4 years, right? Both for the midterms and hopefully for the presidential elections, as long as we're actually allowed to have fair elections going forward, I would say there's a non-zero chance we just full on slip into fascism, right? But the goal is to still just for me to be educating as many people as possible, giving y'all the information and news, so you guys can make informed decisions. You guys can educate people as well, because there were so many people that just didn't vote, right? In the 2024 elections, there were so many people that thought both sides were evil, which, to be honest, both are, right? I'm a Bernie boy. The Democratic Party is just a party of fuck ups and old motherfuckers. Bernie's old, but he's a good old in my opinion. But so many people that don't let actual progress get made, or just so okay with the status quo happening. And so many people that are just like, oh, well, look at the other party is insurrectionist, they literally tried to overthrow the government, and in my opinion, that should be enough to convince people. I would hope that enough people were like, oh shit, yeah, one of these two options is literally like a wannabe dictator, fascist, whatever, and we should probably pick the other option. But I understand that that's not the appealing thing, right? You need to run on popular policy and things like that. But in this situation, we're in very, very crazy times right now. So I just want to educate as many people as we can. So we're going to jump into it. I know we've already spent a little bit of time here. Obviously, Project 2025 is a product of the Heritage Foundation, one of Washington's most prominent right-wing think tanks. First produced policy plans for future Republican administrations in 1981, when Ronald Reagan was about to take office. It's produced similar documents in connection with subsequent presidential elections in 2016, when Trump won the first presidency. So it's not unusual. Obviously, there's think tanks all across the political spectrum, but there's no denying Heritage has been influential during Republican presidencies. 1 year into Trump's first term, the think tank boasted that the White House had adopted nearly 2/3 of its proposals. Its latest set of recommendations was revealed in 2013, but went largely unnoticed outside of policy circles until the heat of the presidential campaign, which is when, Democrats started to, bring it up more and more and more. Obviously that was a big part of, Harris's campaign and stuff like this. So then, Trump comes out saying, oh, I know nothing about Project 2025. I disagree with some of the things they're saying. And some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal, which is true. But I would say most of the things, not, all of the things. But it's once again, it's what are your actions versus your words. So when we're confirming the co-authors to give them the keys to do whatever they want, and you're doing all of these policies that we're going to be going for, it's a lot, right? It's a lot. So this is categorized into a couple different things, right? Obviously, a big part of Project 2025 was talking about purging of the government, right? Proposes that the entire federal bureaucracy, and obviously this is a little bit of summarization, because once again, this is a 900-page document here, which we're going to come back to this official website here in a second. But so, obviously some of these are summarizations. But Project 2025 proposes that the entire federal bureaucracy, including independent agencies such as the Department of Justice, be placed under direct presidential control, a controversial idea known as unitary executive theory. In practice, that would streamline decision-making, allowing the president to directly implement policies in a number of areas. The proposal also calls for eliminating job protections for thousands of government employees who could then be replaced by political appointees. The document labels FBI a bloated, arrogant, increasingly lawless organization. It calls for drastic overhauls of the agency and several others, as well as complete elimination of the Department of Education. Shortly after being sworn in, Trump moved to eliminate job protections for career civil servants and froze federal spending. Through Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, the White House has moved to chop billions in federal spending, although the details and legal status of the cuts are hazy at best. DOJ is not an official government department, but rather an outside team advising Trump. I think they kind of technically took over or renamed it an older government agency, I believe, or something like that. It's clear, however, Trump intends to take a sledgehammer to the federal government as it currently stands, a goal broadly in line with Project 2025. So now I want to go, didn't mean to do there. Now I want to go into this list of some of my my documents here. Let me see here. Here's just one example, right? Because when looking at all of that, obviously, Trump had, with several of his executive orders and several of the actions that his, administration has done, right? They have sent thousands and thousands of emails to thousands and thousands of federal employees saying, hey, your job may be in jeopardy after February 6th. And if you want any chance at actually getting money, you can resign and we'll give you like 8 months pay or something, even though there's no technically confirmation that would fully guarantee to happen, right? So if these people actually resign, there's no guarantee you're getting that money, right? Trump has fucked over people and owes a lot of money to a lot of people, a lot of cities. And so there's no protection, but he's been doing that, right? There's been certain agencies, first of all, right? You have the entire US aid or USA ID. I can't remember exactly how it's pronounced. Entire government entity, parts of our government that help, fight, diseases in other countries. We help provide, we just kind of help donate resources and supplies. There's been a lot of fake news about, we're sending millions of dollars of condoms to Gaza, and all of that was debunked with like, no, were you guys looking at, condoms that we were sending to Africa, right? For some of those things, and some of the resources that were being provided for family planning and STD prevention and stuff like that. There was, I believe, a little bit of budget being sent to Gaza for things like those types of resources, I believe, but none of it was like, we're sending millions of dollars of condoms to Gaza. And I believe that they said that it was like, the fact checking, right? No, from 2022, 2023, 2024, there was no condoms being sent to Gaza, right? It's all just fake news, just like a million other things, right? So within them trying to entirely get rid of that, the FBI is now in an attempt to try to follow the demands of the Trump administration, trying to slim down, certain hires. Obviously, we'll talk about DEI stuff in a little bit. Everybody that was even related to DEI roles were fired immediately. Thousands of government employees were set to, I think, like an at-will work status, which just takes away some of their legal protections, so Trump in the future could just fire them. And Trump himself has made several claims about cutting the Department of Education, right? So obviously. This was something here, right? Federal workers decry Trump's attempt to force mass resignations as cruel jokes. Advocates say emails sent to 3 million employees offering resignations is dangerous and of questionable legality. So I was actually undercounting the thing. So, when we're talking about the government, right, pretty much everything Trump has been doing up to this point seems to be in line with what Project 2025 wanted. Now we're going to go to abortion and family. The mentions of abortion in Project 2025, there's about 200 of them, have sparked some of the most contentious debate, right? The document itself does not call for an outright nationwide abortion ban, and Trump says he would not sign such a law. However, it proposes withdrawing the abortion pill mifepristone from the market and using existing but little enforced laws to stop the drug being sent through the post. Which actually, speaking of that, there's already cases right now where certain states like Texas or Florida, awful fucking states for women's rights, they are trying to sue doctors from other states like New York who are providing medical care and stuff like that. In one instance, there was a minor that was pregnant that was not able or wanting to fucking have a child as a minor, right? And wanted to make their decision for their body. There was a, like a by mail, abortion pill stuff. And the doctor or whatever was from New York. And now they're trying to go after that New York doctor, right? Now, obviously New York is signing laws and stuff to try to protect that. But this is just, so this is, when you're talking about, we're not doing a nationwide abortion ban. We're just supporting like all of this stuff to make it where nobody can get an abortion. It's like, it's almost the same thing, right? So the document proposes new data collection efforts on abortion and more generally suggests that the Department of Health and Human Services should maintain a biblically based, social science reinforced definition of marriage and family, which that you could look at that as, being anti-gay, right? Even though Project 2025 is trying to, claim Project 2025 would end gay marriage. PolitiFact saying that's false. If time is short, as outlined in the document, there's no direct proposal to eliminate same-sex marriage. The document refers to heterosexual families as ideal and calls for the protection of faith-based federal grant recipients who do not support same-sex marriage. And obviously the Presidential Transition Project is the former president has sought to distance himself. He's advocated for not banning the same-sex marriage. But in the same fact, right, when you're saying, okay, I'm going to vote for these Republicans and stuff like that, could somebody tell me a couple things here? Could someone tell me why the Supreme Court is being asked to overturn gay marriage in Idaho? The lawmakers in Idaho are being calling for the Supreme Court to undo Obergefell versus Hodges. Why are the people that you're supporting and you're saying like for the people that support Trump and support what's happening, whether it's for a couple couple issues, whether you think you're one of those people or someone's one of those people who are like, eggs, the prices of eggs got to go down, even though they're skyrocketing and Trump's tariff wars aren't going to help. You got to ask yourself why the same people that you're voting, or, for those of you guys that are third party voters, right? I could understand third party voting, in certain situations, if you live in a state that your vote, is already secured, right? Like if you're living in California, California's not going to turn, red. But I mean, the local elections, I mean, obviously, like always, are super important. So I understand there's some things, and I understand in some elections, right, voting third party, maybe. But in my opinion, this is not the time. This is not the time to be voting third party, because you got to ask yourself, right? Well, okay, I'm voting for Trump, or I'm going to vote for, I don't want to vote for Kamala because X, Y, Z, right? And you're like, oh yeah, Trump said he's okay with gay marriage. Right? Trump said he's okay with, he wouldn't do a federal abortion ban, but the people in his party, in his administration, the people, who are making Project 2025, once again, getting government offices, right? So can someone tell me why those same people are the people trying to overturn gay marriage? And honestly, it's a little bit scary because of the Supreme Court that we have, right? Can we tell me why there is the House, that there's a new bill trying to be passed? Now, obviously, there's a million bills that don't ever get actually fully turned into law. Could somebody tell me why there is, to implement equal protection under the 14th Amendment for the right of life to each born and preborn human person, which this would be a federal abortion ban. So they can say these things aren't happening, but there are attempts. And if we're complacent and we don't vote, or we vote third party, and we let Republicans win, right? Especially Trump. This is what happens, right? They just push the boundaries in as many ways as possible. So maybe, gay marriage they don't fully get to take it away. Are there people in that camp that want to take it away? Absolutely, right? And same thing with all of these things, right? He's throwing everything he can stick at, all these evil fucking things, and in order to see, what sticks. And also with the overall goal, right, to give billionaires even more tax breaks. But in doing that, right, you got to cut the federal government. He's like, oh, how can I get money to give to the billionaires, right? This oligarchy that we have, right? And so that is just insane, crazy. Trump has said abortion laws should be mostly left to individual states. However, during confirmation hearings, Trump's nominee, RFK Jr., which I could make a whole video on itself, said the president had ordered him to examine the safety record of that abortion drug and left open the possibility of further regulation of the drug. Trump also issued an executive order designed to stop federal funds from being used for abortion, a move which was once again detailed and outlined in Project 2025. I have had this is actually with my family. Some arguments I've had with my family that really upset me just on a personal level. Some of my family, when I try to bring up all of these issues, all of these unjustnesses, all of these things happening, a lot of times, a couple people, not going to name any names, their response is like when I'm like, okay, well, say Caitlin gets pregnant, my fiance. I live in Texas. And say there was a complication with the pregnancy, right? There are doctors that just won't help pregnant women with complications in fear that they will be sued, because that is what is going on right now in these godforsaken states, right? And so women are dying because they're not getting the medical care that they need, right? Also, anyone, one of these rich Republican lawmakers, right? Fucking gets someone pregnant and he wants an abortion. They're getting an abortion, right? They're driving to a different state, a blue state that has protected abortion protections, right? Obviously I'm not saying all of them, but the hypocrisy is all throughout. But in arguing with some of my family members, something I've heard is from one particular family member that really hurts me is like, okay, well, what if Caitlin had some complications? Oh, well, you would have the resources. We would have the resources to get you to go somewhere else. So you're saying fuck any poor person, fuck anyone that doesn't have the resources, right, to get that healthcare. You're okay with that happening in the first place. It's not that you have a fundamental issue. Like, if someone was just super uber religious and that's their argument, right? Like, that is, I mean, it's like, I still hate that. I fucking hate that, right? But like, I can understand, like, from your, I can see your perspective on why you think the way you think. Do I agree with you? Fuck no, right? A woman should have a right to her body, and healthcare related to that. Because obviously you talk about all these people after birth abortions, right? Trump on the campaign trail, constantly talking about after birth abortions, all of these things, all this fucking, just all this fake news, all these things. You look at same thing with the trans, half the trans issues. You look at the numbers, the stats of how many people, right? Trump has done some executive orders on trans athletes, things like that. All these things you would think are a massive sweeping problem. And then you look and it like only applies to like less than 10 people. The entire executive, like there's only like less than 10 people like in college, like in the things that he's targeting, right? And it's same thing with abortion, right? The majority of abortions are not these late term, after term abortions. They're showing you the you know, all these awful pictures, right? That's just not, it's just not representative if you look at the statistics and facts of what actually happens, right? It's just insane, right? So once again, another category, things that have been done, right, are already matching what Project 2025 was. So now we have immigration, which has been a big one here with Trump. Increased funding for a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border, one of Trump's signature proposals in 2016. Trump's signature immigration policy, a pledge to deport millions of undocumented immigrants, is not spelled out in any detail in Project 2025. The document does, though, include language calling on Trump to thoroughly enforce immigration laws. But in the main chapter dealing with immigration, Project 2025 authors suggest dismantling the Department of Homeland Security and combining it with other immigration enforcement units and other agencies, creating a much larger and more powerful border policing operation. Other proposals include eliminating visa categories for crime and human trafficking victims, increasing fees on immigrants, and allowing fast-tracked application for migrants who pay a premium. But it was mass deportations, not a bureaucratic shuffle. Visa changes are longer, taller border wall that was Trump's top pitch to voters. On this issue, his administration promises to go in slightly different direction and potentially much further than Project 2025 proposals. So this is one of those cases where, okay, maybe the things that he's doing weren't laid out in Project 2025, but he's going even further, right? We're talking about some of the things we talked about last episode, where some of the executive orders that he did, right? Because there's been deportations of illegal immigrants under Biden, under Obama, right? I mean, it's not a new thing. But what is a new thing is Trump getting rid of protections that say you're not allowed to have ICE go attack and get people in churches, in schools, and in hospitals. Those are all no longer protected places. So we're already seeing it. We're already seeing mass deportations. We're seeing so much, right? We're seeing them accidentally picking up actual citizens. I mean, it's just like that could be once again a whole other video. And that's what's sad and scary about all of this stuff. It's just a constant, we're throwing everything that we can at you, and it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Like, how many times are you going to hear me say, oh man, like we could make a whole other video on that, it's just evil. It's just, people need to have more empathy. Is the immigration system perfect? No, not at all. Were there mistakes made in the Biden administration? Right. Absolutely. Sure. But mass, and one of the things too that pisses me off here is Trump, always promises that he's going to get the criminals off the street. He's going to get all of the criminals and not just be targeting any illegal immigrants. And obviously, just like always, that's not true. Not at all. That he's going after they can say they're targeting certain people. You have his whole border czar or whatever, immigration czar, saying on interviews on TV that, if you're interfering with, ICE operations, well then if you're illegal, we're going to deport you too. Right. And then obviously, this is a fun one here. Trump announcing plan to send 30,000 illegal migrants to Guantanamo Bay. Now, Excuse me. When I first heard that, it sounds pretty bad, awful, and it is really bad, right? I did, in doing more research about it, apparently there's always been, I believe, a like a small holding place or something, because there's the prison of Guantanamo Bay. Where we have all these, I mean, we've tortured so many people, and I mean, do some of them, well, I don't know if anyone deserves torture. I'm not even gonna get into that, right? But are there some bad people that did like 9/11 in there? Yeah. Is Guantanamo Bay just an absolute void of, like, you know, no one is gonna be able to go interview people or see what's actually happening there. And so I believe that there already was, besides the, like, I think there already was maybe like some sort of holding facility here. But obviously this is insane, the extra amount, right? Because especially when we're already seeing some people getting deported or being held, at least unjustly, because, you know, it might just be a Hispanic person that they pick up and they don't have their passport on them and they can't prove it in the moment, right? And so what's going to happen? Do we really think, one, that we need to be sending these people to Guantanamo Bay, and two, do we really think there's not going to be any mistakes made, right? Because no one's going to be allowed to go look and see what's happening. It's scary shit, right? So let's move on, right? I'm not trying to make this video a million years. So energy, climate, and trade. Once again, energy policies, broad area of agreement between Trump and Project 2025. One of President Trump's slogans when he said in his inauguration, drill, baby, drill. New administration wants to ramp up fossil fuel production and has taken the U.S. out of the Paris Agreement on climate change. Project 2025 proposes slashing federal money for research and investment in renewable energy and calls for the next president to stop the war on oil and natural gas, which obviously Trump has been vocal about. Document sends out two competing visions on tariffs, one suggesting boosting free trade and another pro-tariff. Trump obviously figuring out, trying to do these tariffs here, whether they've happened or not, or they're delayed or not. The economic advisors of Project 2025 suggest second Trump administration should slash corporate and income taxes, abolish the Federal Reserve, and even consider a return to gold-backed currency. While the president's made comments on proposals of some of the areas, obviously he's mostly been talking about tariffs, right? Education, tech, and DEI. Almost immediately, Trump moved to end diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and decreed the government would only recognize two genders, right? We talked about that last episode, which in general is fucking insane, because there's intersex people, even not taking into account the trans issue. I think there's about 0.5 to 1% of the population that literally doesn't fall in two genders at birth. It's not a trans thing, right? But these moves are broadly in line with Project 2025, which took aim at DEI and gender terminology, as calling it, right, a wider crackdown on the woke ideology, right? Document also calls for greater school choices, essentially subsidizing religious and private schools with public funds, which was subject, to an early Trump executive order. Calls for abolishing of the Department of Education, which Trump has talked a lot about. So does President Elon Musk as well. In other proposals, Project 2025 suggests banning porn. If you like porn, maybe that's how we start convincing all these people, shutting down tech and telecom companies that allow access to adult material. This so far has not been the focus of the new administration, which has drawn support from a number of tech bosses. Trump's view on the tech industry has regularly shifted and don't appear to have much to do with the sexual content, which, right. So that's, I don't think Trump's going to go ban our porn. Though it is, where I'm in Texas right now. Right. There's all these current legal battles about, whether like places like Pornhub, sites that have more than like half of their content or a third of their content, whatever this number is, if it's porn at a certain degree, they're wanting them to have age verifications. Right. And then obviously there's the privacy issues there. And it's a very complicated mess. Long story short, if I watch porn here in Texas, I got to use a VPN. And so there is some of that happening, but I'm not going to put much of that blame on the Trump administration, right? There's a lot more actual stuff we can put blame on. Then this is just a little kind of finale of the plan's uncertain future. The writing of Project 2025 was a massive undertaking backed by $22 million budget from Heritage. It includes strategies for implementing policies such as the creation of a database of conservative loyalists to fill government positions and a programming to train those new workers. There are clear areas of agreement and overlapping personnel. However, many of the themes of Project 2025 were independently being touted by the Trump campaign. It's very early in Trump's second term and still unclear how far the president will be able to go in reshaping the U.S. federal government. Democrats have indicated they'll continue to oppose bunch of Project 2025 stuff, and obviously many of the president's executive orders and other actions will continue to face political and legal challenges, right? Once again, it's all about throwing as much stuff as you can at the wall and seeing what sticks, and some of that will stick, right? And it's crazy, right? And I'm trying to see. There's a couple other things that we'll talk about here at the end. But ultimately, right, just what I wanted to talk about is, at least with this video, was just maybe because I'm just still remembering all of these arguments I've had with sometimes I'll have such a productive debate, right, with either a conservative or a moderate or something like that, right? And then when it comes to, me trying to weigh the evils, right? Because yeah, I know both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party both are corrupt as fuck, right? There's money in both, right? There's a reason my boy Bernie Sanders got shafted, because the elite on the Democratic Party didn't want him to actually fucking do give socialized healthcare, right? And universal healthcare, and things like I mean, some of the few things Kamala was talking about, right, was the housing credits and stuff like that. Obviously, I think people were a little bit salty that the student loan stuff didn't happen to the extent that they wanted it to. Once again, it was the Republican judges that shot that down, and the the Biden administration still did as much as they could they still wiped millions of dollars of debt from thousands of people that were in certain specific situations that they did have the right to and wouldn't get shut down, and stuff. Same thing with the infrastructure, right? Infrastructure is never sexy, but things happened, right? Even all the people that protest didn't vote for Kamala because we are helping support a genocide with Israel on Palestine and the Palestinian people, and I totally get that. Once again, the entire time Trump talked about wanting to turn it into a parking lot, and that's actually one of the little extra things here that I want to talk about, since I know it might be every 2 weeks of doing political things. Trump recently has been talking about how the U.S. Will take over the Gaza Strip. He was doing press conferences with Netanyahu, and I mean, it literally is like Netanyahu is like looking so happy that like Trump is saying the things that he's saying, right? So for all of the people that thought, because Trump also, with some of the orders and things that he's done previously, took away certain sanctions that Biden had put on certain individuals and companies that were provably, doing violence upon the Palestinian people, right? And Trump resuming the 2,000-pound bombs that we were sending to Israel, right? And it's a lot worse, right? And so I wanted to make this video to mainly just get it off of my chest, and maybe to give you guys some talking points when you're arguing with whatever, right? People that still somehow are claiming that Trump is so detached from all of this stuff. And whether or not, right, like, he's going to get everything done, right? There's so much bad shit and so much just evil shit, right? And just, I mean, such ridiculous stuff in Project 2025, that the fact that like 30 to 40 to 50% of what Trump has done is lining up with Project 2025, and in some cases going even further, like the immigration, the war on, you always got to have a villain, a scapegoat, and Trump constantly likes to say that the fault of everything bad in the world is because of illegal immigrants, even though, when illegal immigrants get deported, and there's not, they're not working on some of the labor fields that we're on, like, with housing and stuff like that. Are we seeing a bunch of white dudes go and take over the jobs? No, they're not wanting to, because unfortunately, our entire capitalistic society is not paying people what they deserve. And, obviously there's a bunch of illegal immigrants that are taking those jobs because they're better than nothing and they need it. And it's still awful that they're being exploited. But it's like, if you're someone that's voting for Trump purely based on the economy, I don't know how you can look and say that the economy is getting better under Trump, especially when Trump has now finally admitted recently that with his tariffs, with things like that, prices might go up, but it's a cause. It's something that needs to happen, right? To stick it to him, to stick it to the other countries that are taking advantage of us, right? Our allies, God forbid, fucking Canada sending firefighters and firefighting planes, helping fight the LA fires and stuff like that, and it's just supposed to be our allies, So it's just insane. So I just had to get this off of my chest. Just look at some of the comparisons because it does in fact seem like Project 2025. It was in fact the plan, right? And whether every single percent of every single thing, maybe it doesn't all happen. Does that mean that people aren't wanting it to happen? No. Just like maybe Trump isn't outwardly saying he opposes gay marriage, right? Well, the people in his campaign, in his administration, right? There are people there that want to get rid of gay marriage, right? I mean, interracial marriage next. There's already a bunch of conservatives that hate interracial marriage, right? Just like, small amount of, gay marriage things, right? For those of you guys that are okay with gay people, but maybe not okay with trans people, it's the stereotypical, like they came for the trans people and I didn't speak up because I'm not trans. Then they came for the gay people and I didn't speak up because I'm not gay. Then they came for the migrants, right? And I didn't speak up because I'm not a migrant. And then they came for me and no one was there to speak for me, right? It's a stereotypical thing. Like it's just going to constantly be, we're constantly pointing our fingers, right? I remember a kid growing up. I remember conservatives just talking on and on and on and on and on about how gay people were evil. And now it's just trans people are evil and all of this stuff. It's never ending, picking a target, all this culture war stuff. So you don't look at the money. You don't look that Trump is just bought out by all of these millionaires and billionaires and it's going to just try to give them another tax break like they did the first time, right? And I'd like if anyone could tell me that all the billionaire tax breaks, if that trickled down, because it didn't, and the economy's not getting better and all of this shit is going on to shit. I know Trump's approval ratings tanking, as if that matters. So many people now almost like regretting their decision to vote for Trump. And it's like, okay, good. I'm glad you're now growing a conscience. Now you're growing a little bit of empathy. It's like, this is what I was screaming from the rooftops last year, right? I was talking about Project 2025 last year and the amount of people that told me that, Trump didn't, he said he's not a part of it. No, he is. He is. To what extent, it doesn't matter because we're talking about the sheer amount of shit that he's doing, right? Appointing the co-authors into government positions, right? Doing the things that we just talked about, right? Line up with everything, right? And one more thing that I want to talk about here is obviously, there's been some plane crashes and stuff like that. And Trump has constantly been trying to blame it on DEI and saying that somehow diversity, equity, and inclusion policies somehow were the reason that these plane crashes happened. For things like air traffic controllers and stuff like that, you have to go through such like hard fucking shit. Like, you have to pass. It's like a really hard position, really hard test to get through. And two, Trump, no, I'm not saying that like this is the reason. I'm not trying to be like him and just trying to find a scapegoat. But if we were trying to find a scapegoat or figure out why things like this happened, right? Trump got key aviation safety committees, fired the head of TSA and the Coast Guard, right? In all of these, federal things, that he's cutting, right? Some of that stuff is the air, the air traffic controllers or, FAA stuff. Here's AOC, I represent LaGuardia Airport as well as workers for JFK. Trump gutted the aviation safety committee last week. Air traffic controllers, which were already understaffed, which is so true, got Trump's buyout this week with a 1-week ultimatum to decide. It's not DEI, it's him and Elon too, right? And once again, this is because, he's saying, he's saying that, it's all because of DEI. Let me turn my headphones on. I can't even hear this.
Have you seen to support
I know you guys can.
It just could have
I'm a
been.
professional.
We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power.
I still can't even hear it, but I know you guys can. I know you guys are getting the
quality. And
that's what
psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden. And Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically
which they already were
superior. And that's what we're going to have. Yeah.
Which, once again, that's already what it was. In order to get these positions, they were very, very hard to get, you know. But so it's just constant blaming other people, constantly blaming DEI, woke culture, immigrants, whatever he can do to blame and just show all these things going on. I mean, we haven't even discussed Elon Musk, King Elon Musk, taking over all of these government systems, installing hard drives, fucking, not letting certain people into their, the workplace, and it's just crazy, right? As part of this Doge thing, it's just crazy. It's just crazy, right? So I could keep on going. The whole point of this was for me to film a shorter video, and we're already now at 45 minutes, right? So I will let do it. I'll post the links, right, of everything that we looked at, obviously in the description down below. But yeah, so I hope this was either educational, or maybe you learned something new, or you learned some things to bring up when your crazy conservative uncle starts talking conspiracy theories and saying Trump still doesn't know what Project 2025 is. This was in fact the plan, right? This was the plan, right? Whether they're getting everything done or not, this was the plan. And I will not be convinced otherwise, because there's just no way. There's no way, right? We are literally getting the co-authors in these government positions, right? And they can claim, I'm not going to do that stuff. No, yes, you are. Or you're going to do things that are like almost that, like, we don't support a federal abortion ban, but we do have some Republicans that are, pushing for that. And I probably would agree to it if it got to a vote. And also, we're going to try to like cripple, all of the industry that's actually helping the places like Texas, that have completely banned it, and it's just insane. So that's that. I'll let you guys, I'll not stress you guys out with politics too long. It's just nice to get it off of my chest, and I think this is a good outlet for it. And I know that there's some of you guys that have been leaving comments on the last political video of talking about like, oh man, so much more has happened. I remember when we were just talking about this, right? And the goal with the political side of this channel is I'm here I'm holding on just like you guys, I'm in it for the long haul. And I want to kind of be able to digest some of this information with you guys as well. Right. So the goal is every other week, right, to do that political stream, or, let me know if you like a more direct video, right, approach, maybe shorter and stuff like that. Maybe in the future, shorter videos than this, the problem is when I go every 2 weeks, there's a lot to talk about. But it's good, so hopefully this didn't stress you out too much. Remember that it's important to stay vigilant. They want to just throw as much stuff to exhaust you, so you just completely check out and they can just do whatever they want without you getting mad, without you, wanting to put up a fight, trying to organize, trying to educate people to vote better in the future, or to vote. So many people don't vote, if we just had more people vote, the amount of people that don't vote is insane, right? So many people think they can't change the system, but it's like, no, if you can vote, and then you can talk and talk to communities and your friends and your family and convince a couple of those to vote, and then they talk and communicate, and like, it can be such a big thing, so anyone you think's on the fence, you got 2 years before the midterms, obviously local elections, no matter where you live, even if you don't live in the US. I don't know if you're watching this and you're not in the US, I don't know, your election's probably matter too. They do, definitely go vote. I know some countries force you to vote, which I don't think that's a great idea either, because then people will just vote. Not really. They'll just pick like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, right? But still, we need more people to vote. So you got some time, right? Biggest things, if you're stressing out too much, just, try to find a sense of community, local, friends, family that are supportive, online communities, our Discord server, whatever it may be, whatever brings you comfort, but community is really OP, because we all got to stay it together, and we all got to be, not that we have to be hyper stressing out and focusing on every single thing, but it's important to be vigilant and aware of what is going on, so they can't just pull a fast one on us, as easily, and stuff like that. So if you need some just fun videos to relax to after this, you know, we got a lot of the other fun videos on the channel, reacting to infomercials, stuff like that. There'll be a lot more fun stuff as well. The goal is to balance this episode, you know, this channel with, you know, 1 week of fun video, next week political video, fun video, you know, all that stuff. So go check all that out. Go subscribe, Holding On Here if you haven't already. You know, make sure you guys, like I said, subscribe, ring that bell, you know, so we can try to get this Holding On Here channel up to the Time to Grind numbers maybe one day. Stay vigilant, you know, keep your head up, and I'll see you guys next time.